The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. My name's Mike Nudd, I'm Product Manager here at Clarity. Thanks again for joining our webinar today, part of our ongoing series of showcases at different products, and just a bit of a knowledge refresh, just sharing some info about some of our features and services. What I'll talk about today, there is a PDF guide to the call center, the Broadworks call center, but I'll pretty much go through everything that's in that guide. Just a bit about the management of the feature, a bit about the user experience, I guess talk a little bit about the use cases. Let's begin by, if I just press that button, you should be able to see my screen. The call center is this is a licensed feature that we've enabled on Broadworks by Broadsoft. As many of you should already be aware, the core engine to the Clarity Telephony experience is from the Broadsoft software that we have. There's actually a whole range of different options and licensable features. We've chosen to enable some of the call center features. There's actually a couple of different grades of it. We're currently offering the Broadsoft Standard Call Center and also the Broadsoft Premium Call Center. There is a slight difference in price to the two, as the Premium does offer a few more features, and we'll be in the process of unlocking more features at the Premium level later on in the year. In terms of the management of call centers, the sort of setup of call centers, that's done through our SMT portal, the same portal that most of you should already have been exposed to. Let me just make that a little bit bigger for people with small screens. As a super user, I've got quite a lot of access, but I'll just drill down to a test site, and the site. The view is equivalent to what you would see when you also go and look at sites or go to manage sites, and you'll see that on the left-hand side and the services, call centers are one of the object types that can be owned by the site, and you can click on call centers to see what existing call centers may exist under that site, and then for you also see on the right-hand side there's the ability to add a new call center, as if that's something you need to do to add one into the list. At the screen you'll see either way is very similar. What you'll need to do is give the call center a name. Let me just go. You'll need to select a telephone number from the list of numbers that are available under the site. And you've got the choice of whether you make it standard or premium. It's standard by default. I'll go into premium a bit more later on. You'll then have the ability to define lots of other settings on these various different tabs, some of which will be similar to what you might see for hunt groups. Broadly speaking, a call center is a superior version of a hunt group. All of the agents, if I look at the agents list, I've got, you'll see a bit similar to hunt groups. On the left-hand side, you've got the ability to drag and drop in anybody who needs to be part of the call center group. I'm getting a warning here, of course, because every user I uplift in this way to become a call center agent, there is an extra charge for. So it's just reminding me that this is billable activity in the process of adding these users on. One of the differences between a call center and a hunt group is each of these guys that I'm nominating will become part of the hunt, part of the inbound call flow for the group, but they're only going to ring if they say they're available. The call center has a unique element to it in which each user will sign in to advertise their availability, and they can do this. It's self-controlled. Either through the phone manager portal or from the screen of their phone. I'll show you that in a moment. But yeah, the users self-control when they're advertising they're available. Obviously, the typical use case is, it's a call center or contact center. This guy's got a shift to do. He's supposed to log on at 10, supposed to log off at 5, but he will actually press sign in when he actually sits down to do his work, and he will press sign out when he's actually finished to take him back out of the ringing. And of course, there's the option to go unavailable if you want a break or you've got some work to do. There's a couple of different statuses to choose from. But from a management point of view, it is similar to a hunt group in that you're just nominating everyone who's going to be in the group and to have that capability. Also, like hunt groups, there's an open period area where there's a weekly scheduler which you can define to say when the group's ringing is going to be open, and you can force to close outside of that window and have a specific closed action during that out of hours window. Another feature that comes with the call center that you don't get with a hunt group is a queuing capability. So every inbound caller is actually going to be queued by our system here, held until there is a free available agent to answer that call. So even though I may only have 2 agents here to be able to answer calls, actually I can still set my queue to hold a larger number of calls. They'll just sit there in the queue waiting for to get to the front and to get answered. Now the queue length here, it goes up to 3 digits and 999. But within that limit they'll be held in the queue, and outside of that limit will automatically overflow. We also got a distribution method which controls in what order my available agents are rung. There's a few choices here, very similar to what you get for hunt groups. I should say that the weighted actually isn't an active choice at the moment. It doesn't. There isn't any way to control that weighting. That's something that we're in the process of unlocking. So don't choose that. Bounce is when you're picking a linear sequence. It's how it bounces between the different agents. And here we've got our overflow rules. So outside of the queue length, what happens? Also, you can tick to enable and say, even though they might be midway through the queue or even towards the front of the queue, if it's been a certain amount of time, just updating, then you can also force an overflow at that point. And again, you've got the choice of voicemail or transfer to another number. And also to play an announcement at the point they're transferred. On the announcements tab, a bit further along, you've got control over what audio is heard by those queuing users. So begin with an entrance message when they first join the queue. You can activate an estimated waiting time or tell them where they are in the queue. There's some extra slots to play other background audio to plug the gaps in that sequence. And that'll just cycle while they're waiting until they get to the front. If I go to advanced, there's also the option to enable escape digits, so that even though they're in the queue, if they get bored of waiting or they'd rather not, they've got somewhere to be, you could actually say, if you'd rather not hold in the queue, dial X, whichever the digit you choose, to escape out and go to the same overflow response that you nominated earlier, which could be voicemail, or to an operator of some kind. The group, as per hunt groups, there is a unique voicemail box associated with the group, which you can direct to and have email notifications against. Here you can set the PIN for that box, so you can dial in and listen to those messages. So that's just a very quick tour of the call center settings. What I haven't spoken about is supervisors. This is unique to call centers in that you can nominate supervisors to supervise particular users. So let's say, well, first of all, you need to nominate some supervisors. So let's make, actually this is not the best way to show this because this is a new group. What you actually need to do is save your nominated supervisors and then actually go back to review your settings to enable the supervision. So if I just go back quickly, pick one of my existing groups. Do I have any supervisors enabled? There we go. So I've got a supervisor here enabled, which has given me a supervision tab as well. So I can now say that my supervisor is going to supervise these nominated agents. doesn't only has a small amount of impact, but it gives them permission to receive escalations from those users through the client that I'll show you in a moment. Also gives them permission to barge into these users' calls, and we're also looking into silent monitoring from the BroadSoft side as well, which would be something that he'd be able to do. But yeah, obviously if you've got more than one supervisor, they can supervise different sets of agents. So let's have a quick look at the management tools. To go and have a look at the user experience. The one way as a user of, sorry, I need to open that, is a user. The call center is agnostic of what type of phone you're using. It just knows that you're a call center agent, and the default method for updating your status in the group is actually to go to Phone Manager, the Phone Manager portal as an end user, and manage your status yourself. So here, on my call center status, actually I'm signed out, but if I click to sign in, then it will update and give me some new buttons to show my my availability. I'm signed in, but currently away, so I'm still not taking calls. But as soon as I press ready, I'm going to advertise as available to the group and start taking calls. I can press away or unavailable. This means the same thing. When I'm not able to take calls, or I can go into a wrap up after every call. I can actually set that automatically. As if I go back to SMT here, one of the options here is I could actually as an admin, I can enable an automatic push to wrap up. Set agents to wrap up over every call, and then I can actually push from wrap up back to available after a certain amount of time, or unchecked. That would be indefinite until the agent themselves changes their status back again. But yeah, good idea if you've got to fill in a ticket or make a few notes after every call. It just gives it a little bit of breathing space. So I've just got a single set of buttons here. I'm guessing when I'm nominating agents here in my group, that billing flag was to notify me that I'm actually going to be charged per agent for everybody uplifted in the group. Now that follows, therefore, that we could actually deploy multiple groups on SMT that actually target the same sets of users. There are some use cases where you might have a single contact center, and actually they're fielding calls for multiple companies, multiple brands, multiple products, multiple campaigns. You might associate an individual telephone number with that inbound query. You can also give it a unique name, which will show through to the callers when they receive the call. So they're actually in a position to field lots of different calls from lots of different places. If it's the same set of agents in each case, then you're only going to be paying the same single monthly price per agent for that call center ability, even though it might be 3 groups or 5 groups or 6 groups they're answering. You're only paying by agent. However, you've got to bear in mind that the activity buttons here are just a single set. So when you're saying you're available, you're actually simultaneously saying you're available to all of the groups that you're a member of simultaneously. So yeah, this guy, he could be answering 4 different call center groups. He's saying I'm unavailable to all 4 of those, and really it's just the oldest call that he's going to get from any of those groups is the first one that's going to ring through to him. It is possible to be a bit more selective than that. If I go back to the management view, there's a tick box here for allow agents to join call centers, which actually means that not only will the agents able to sign in and say when they're available, but they actually get to choose which call center groups they're saying they're available to at any given time. You're deferring that ability to them. And if I go back to the Phone Manager portal again, there's a call centers link here on the menu on the left-hand side, which is where you can see not only can you see which groups you're a member of at any given time. So this guy is currently a member of 2 different call centers. He's joined to both, which means he's available status is being advertised to both, but actually you could say, because I've been given permission to do so, I could actually toggle this off. So I'm no longer joined to this group, and I'm only advertising I'm available to this first group and not this one. So I'm not going to take any ringing from this while I'm in this state. Or inversely, I could enable this one, disable this one, and now I'm only advertising I'm available only to this particular group instead. So I've got a bit of control there. Another way of managing your status is, I can't actually show you it here on the screen, but if you take one of our Polycom handsets, if the call center agent is using one of our Polycoms, then part of the XML configuration for the device is to include some extra activity buttons on the screen. You'll see that the agent will have a sign-in button, a soft key, press that, and then the soft keys will update to show unavailable. The sign out options actually on the screen. You can do it from there. But the third way is to do it from within the call center client. You'll notice on the price list that there are a number of different items. So I mentioned you've got standard and premium. But there's also you can be an agent without the client. You can also be an agent with the client. Without client means the experience is pretty much as I've just shown you. You've got your activity buttons here on your Polycom. That's pretty much it. However, if you take the version with the client, then you've got the ability to spawn a window from Phone Manager that gives you a bit more visibility of what's going on. Here we go. So I did speak about a receptionist last week, and those of you that may have joined that webinar, you'll see this client window is actually very similar to the receptionist operator window that you get as part of the receptionist service. Essentially, you've got a box here in the top left where you'll see your calls flash up with some activity buttons. Let me see if this will actually work now. There we go. So yeah, you can see I'm taking an incoming call, and if I pick it up on the device in question, as well as manipulating that call from the screen of the phone, I can actually do it on my computer screen. I can press hold here, it will go on hold. I could dial a new number and then press transfer, or I can review any of my other contacts that I've got in my contacts list, and using these activity buttons, I can interact with them as well. Also, when you're taking calls through your group, your allocated group, you'll see the stats update here at the moment. So actually it's telling me there are 2 guys signed in, 2 out of 6 signed into my group at the moment. There's actually no calls in my queue, and these stats will update as various things are happening. But you'll see at the top here, there's also a box to manage your statuses again. So as a call center user, you can update your status from here instead of doing it from Phone Manager or from your Polycom. You've got a few different options there. Okay, so that's a whirlwind tour of the user experience. I did mention Premium Call Center, but I didn't talk about what extra you get with that. If I go back into SMT, back to my call centers. Click on my Premium Call Center. There are a few standouts which are potentially of use. One of the key ones being that introduces a skill-based routing method. It's still, the other routing types are still here behind the scenes. I can still go back and toggle those these sort of fixed choices, but I can also select skill-based to give me a bit more flexibility. And really it has relevance in that situation where I do have the same agents answering calls for more than one group, more than one queue at a time. So the default priority is if everybody's equal, then it's just next available agents who's going to get the oldest call from whichever group coming through, just oldest group from whichever group, with only a limited amount of control. Whereas in this situation, every agent that's added is given a numerical tag for the group to indicate the priority order. So I can actually say, so I can pick an integer from 1 to 20 for all of the guys that I'm adding, 1 being our highest priority, 20 being the lowest priority. And that means that if I've got the same set of agents answering calls for 2 different groups, I could have them skewed so that users A, B, C are all high priority in the first group, but are actually low priority in the second group. So they would not normally expect to answer calls on the second group unless everybody up above them in the priority order is signed out. And inversely, it could do the same thing with the second group. Users D, E, F are actually the priority answerers for group 2, and they're low priority in group 1. And you can change this this integer order for every premium group with the skills-based routing enabled. And on top of that, it does give you a few more routing options. If I scroll a bit further down here, there is an emergency override option for premium call centers. So let's say we've just had a fire alarm's just gone off, or there's been a tree's gone down in the road, or it's a snow day and people aren't going to be able to come in as normal. I could enable a force forwarding rule that temporarily sends the call somewhere else. I don't need to reconfigure the rest of the group. I don't need to delete or change any settings. I can just enable the force forward that takes over temporarily to wherever it needs to go until the emergency is over, and then I can untick and the group just goes back to normal. A bit further down, maybe of more interest, is the premium group comes with a holiday scheduler, which allows you to define different additional days outside of your weekly schedule where you can have a third response occur during those days. So you can put all your bank holidays in, load an announcement that covers those holiday periods, and that will just kick in automatically. I know that a lot of people have been asking for us to deliver the same sort of service to hunt groups, to auto attendants, to all the other objects on the platform. Quite frankly, it's a bit of a strange situation where this logic is specific to the premium call center group on the BroadSoft side. They only seem to have unlocked this logic for call centers at this level and not for all these other objects. I'm not quite sure why. That may be involved in it may be on their roadmap to evolve it, and maybe on the new releases that we'll be upgrading to, but that's kind of the constraint where we are right now, which is why you're not seeing it in those other places. We are discussing internally whether we can replicate this logic using our own batch scripting for other objects, but there you have to watch this space. But yeah, here this is the sort of thing that that we'd like to see elsewhere. But right now it is really only here for call center premium. And then the final thing is, if I scroll down on my announcements, right down here at the bottom, I can upload a whisper message which is played to my agents on the beginning of every inbound call. So if I've got users ABC all answering calls on my call center premium group, I can enable a message, upload a message which says, please remember to ask the customer about blah. Please, today's special is X. Don't forget to do this. There's a variety of messages you can play to that agent as a reminder of what the call is going to be about or what they need to do. Actually, the BroadSoft schema does actually, there are a number of other additional features for Call Center Premium that we're not showing here, but we will be unlocking, as I say, later on in the year. And just finally, one thing I haven't touched upon is the reporting side. Anyone who's running a call center, anyone who takes these call center functions that has their agents signing in and signing out, obviously you can see that from the management interface there isn't a lot of visibility of what's actually happening from a top-down perspective. If you're a supervisor, you really want to know what's going on. One way of doing getting some visibility is there is an upgraded version of the call center client. So actually haven't set that up to show you now, but again, I can spawn as a supervisor. You can spawn a superior window, and where you've got your supervised users, you actually as an agent, I can see my supervisors, but the inverse is the supervisor can see their supervised agents. But actually, I get the traffic light BLF status for those guys to know when they're actually online or not. But what we would actually recommend is superior to that is to take our Kixi reporting product as a complement. It has its own reporting functionality, which is way superior and much more useful, really, to the average supervisor. If I quickly log in. Not to dwell too much on a Kixi generally, but there are 3 levels that can be licensed at. A light level that only includes historical reporting, the 1000 level, which includes some real-time reporting and a basic wallboard, and the 2000 level, which has real-time information specific to this call center activity. So it's just in the process of opening up an agent report. Wait for it to catch up. Yeah, so here we go. So it's looking at my my model call center here, and it's saying this guy's currently unavailable. But let's see if this what should happen. There we go. So I pressed as a user that I was available, and immediately it's updated to show that the agent's available. And and actually, some of the tools that you're getting in Kixi allow you to do management of that status as well. If I click on this guy as a supervisor in a Kixi, I can actually change his status from here, or I can actually sign him out from here if I know he's not supposed to be signed in. Or inversely, if these guys are supposed to have started already, I can sign them in. I've got some control over that actually through a Kixi. And similarly, if I go back to some of my other showcase templates, this is the wallboard that you get in a Kixi, and you can see here that it's got a number of panes devoted to that call center information. So the total number of people signed in, who's available, who's not available, what's going on, and it's we've got the agent list. Here's a different call centers, so there's a bit more going on than my little test call center. It's keeping track of what's happening in real time. And what I can also do is generate a report of all the sign-ins, all the sign-outs, all the changes in status, not CDRs exactly, but sort of the equivalent for those status updates. So not telephony activity, but agent-specific activity. And then I can filter or sort that by the individual users to see, did they, well, although they signed in on time, did they actually stay signed in? Did they stay available? Did they actually do the work they were supposed to be doing? You've got some a lot of data there that you can play with to make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the 2000 level also comes with a group-based summary for you, a bit of intelligence to say, so for each of the groups that I'm running, whether these are hunt groups or call centers or receptionists, I've got this specific view summary of all the calls that have been delivered through every group, through every queue. Okay, so I think that's touched on all the areas that I wanted to show you today. Slightly over the half hour, but I want us to If there are any burning questions, I'm happy to try and answer a couple right now before we close. Okay, I don't seem to have any questions queued up, so there we go. No, that was, well, thank you very much. Yes, I hope that was useful. Yeah, so I think we'll leave that there. As I say, there is a PDF guide that covers pretty much all of that. The Akixi bits split off into our Akixi guide, but yeah, we have got PDFs that cover it. Everything I've discussed today. If you don't have copies, then please let me know, or please let your account manager know. We'll make sure you've got the up-to-date documents. Obviously, as the product manager, I'm always looking forwards and what we can do next. If there are particular features that you feel that we're missing there, or other products you think we should be looking at, or other or opportunities that that might have other types of requirements, then please do let us know. It's not all set in stone, and although we might not be able to move that quickly, well, we are small enough to be able to move pretty dynamically in response to those types of things. Yeah, so please let me know. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. Have a good day, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for the next one.